Welcome to Seaview Circle. This is our review podcast. Is that what it is? No.
No, it's a recap podcast.
Okay, it's a recap podcast. And it is where we review our favorite TV shows, movies, and series of the past, present, and possibly the future, all in service of our end goal of determining just how highbrow or lowbrow our viewing taste is. And this time, though, we are not going to be reviewing a particular episode. We are going to be presenting to you the ultimate guide to the Yellowjackets, Extrajackets. These are the people in the background in every episode, almost every episode, where they're there, but they're not saying a word. They're not actually one of the main characters, but they were on the plane, and then some of them are there in one episode, and then they're missing in the next one, but then they pop up in this one, and then who's out there? How many people were on that plane? A lot more than you think, I think, as we will discover. Do you have any questions about the Extrajackets as we go into this?
Well, I don't have any questions about the Extrajackets, but I am getting a little cold, and I think I should put on my sweater.
Oh, okay.
You know, so maybe I have to just run out and put that back on again.
That is funny. You must have taken it off because it was so warm.
It was hot, but then the temperature keeps changing in here.
It does keep changing, yeah.
So I think, though, right now...
I love it.
Right now, I'm getting a little cold.
Well, you better put that sweater
okay,
back on.
So could you wait 1 second
Sure.
while I go get it?
So while Doug is retrieving his Walter Tattersall sweater vest, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our YouTube channel or our Spotify account so that you can get all updates on new podcasts when they are released. You can hit the subscribe button. You can like individual episodes. You can comment on YouTube or on Spotify. Sometimes we have polls that you can answer there. And we appreciate the support because engagement helps us to grow our audience.
If you want to reach out to us on any of the platforms that we are located
Social
on,
media.
media, it's seeviewcircle, or actually at seeviewcircle, SEEVIEW. That's for Instagram. That's for Spotify.
TikTok.
Bluesky.
Really would be interested to hear what your thoughts about what we are covering today in this special Untying the Knot. Now, what is Untying the Knot? Do you remember?
Untying the Knot comes from Knots Landing, to be quite honest, because we start off doing our podcast on Knots Landing, which is the longest running primetime show that was on for like 14 years.
So we kind of use that segment called Untying the Knot based off of the show Knots Landing. However, we are pulling it over into our Yellowjackets coverage as well. This is really like our citizen detective work. And trust me, I did a lot of citizen detective work to do this.
Untying the knot that Mari had with while Coach tied her up.
Absolutely.
You know, that could be a thing.
So in this segment, we take deep dives into a specific production aspect of the series, or perhaps provide a bio of a fan fave cast member, right? In this one, though, we are actually going to be shining the spotlight on all of the background actors who we don't really know, right? So we are going to untie the knot of the Extrajackets episode by episode by episode by...
And by season.
And by season. So let's just dig in. Let's get started. We're going to be showing photos as evidence of who we are seeing out there in the wilderness.
You know what we could actually ask the viewers? Do you have a favorite Extrajacket?
Oh.
And you know what you could do is you could email us.
That'll be
really
the poll.
Great. Right. Or the poll. That's a good one.
Or just send us,
send us an email, which
Who's
is also...
your favorite Extrajacket of all time?
seeviewcircle@gmail.com.
I like that, Doug. I like that,
yeah,
Doug. I want to find out. Who is it? All right, let's get started, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
All right, friends, we have sort of change things up a little bit, bringing in another computer, because we're like a 7-computer family.
7-computer family here.
We are going to be going through and finding out who are the Extrajackets. In order to do that, we kind of need to look at the entire cast, and we are going to start off with the team photos that show the majority of our cast in one place at one time. Now, something to remember is that this show has now taken place during 4 different production timelines. The first being the pilot in 2019, and then the subsequent 3 seasons, which are all filmed whenever they were filmed. So some of these photos are probably from the pilot era, and some of these team photos might be later. I don't really know. If anybody knows when these photos were taken, that would be a great help. We can surmise that we're starting with this particular shot right here, that this is from the scene where Allie has the injury, where Ty makes Allie have the injury in the pilot episode, right?
Yeah.
So this is the only time we're going to see Allie in any of these team photo shots. And so I'm curious if the other photos that were taken afterwards were meant to be in celebration of the actual journey to nationals, because at that point, I believe Akila appears instead of Allie. As I was going through this process of finding out the Extrajackets, there's many different ways I could go about doing it. And it gets a little confusing because we have obviously the soccer team itself, and they all wear soccer jerseys with numbers on them. And they correspond, I believe, to positions. And I'm going to ask you for some advice on that in a moment. But in order to organize this, I made a spreadsheet, and you can see it right there on my phone, and I will be referencing this, that I had to list them in order of their jersey, right? That was the easiest way for me to have it make sense. But unfortunately, we don't know the jerseys of all of them. Let's try to find out what the jerseys are, okay? In this group photo here, I believe this was taken after Allie is no longer going to nationals, because there's Akila, and she was known on the plane as the JV person who was joining the team, because Mari made that joke that she wasn't going to have a seat on the plane. Now, this is a very interesting photo because we have all of our main characters here, but then we also have on the right side of the photo all these other people.
Robin.
So this is my proto-Robin. Proto meaning before the Robin that we know now in season 3. This is the person that I'm carrying through as the Robin. Similar look in the face, in the coloration, in the hair, sort of in the style. Okay. Then we have our Jen, number 16, in the back there. We know she's number 16 because her jersey says right there 6. And we know that Shauna is actually jersey number 6. So Jen must be 16. Okay, this is kind of how I'm figuring this stuff out. Next to Jen, we have what I'm calling Proto Melissa. This is dirty blonde hair, long down to the shoulders. This must be the early Melissa, Proto Melissa.
And she's number 18, huh?
And she's number 18 because she has an 8 on her jersey, but we know she's not 8, who I believe is Thaisa. Okay, next to her, we have number 17, very clearly there, jersey number 17. Now, there is an extra jacket all throughout the first season, played by the actress Princess Davis. This is another African-American actress. This is not the same person, I don't believe. So there are 2 African-American extra jackets in season 1. This is number 17. We will see her as well in the show, I believe. We also have number 15 there next to her, very clearly demarcated as jersey number 15 in episode 3, The Dollhouse, where she is at the funeral. This teenager has short brown hair. We will see her throughout season 1.
She looks a little goth to me,
She could be a little goth. She could be a little goth. And then, of course, we have the other people here in the front. Mari, Thaisa. We have Jackie, Shauna. We have Lottie. We have the front number 1 is Van. That is the goalie position is number 1. Then we have Proto Crystal.
Wait, so that is supposed to be Crystal?
Well, no. This is me. This is me saying, who are these people, right? We have to fit these people in because they're here in the team photo.
Right.
This, to me, she's giving me the closest Crystal energy. And she also appears to be of Asian descent, and so was the actress who played Crystal. So I am saying that this is Proto Crystal. Now, did Crystal really even exist?
We don't know.
That is a question for another day. We also have Laura Lee there, and then we have Misty, of course, who is on equipment. Later on in the season finale, when they go to the high school reunion, we also have another photo that is displayed by Allie there, the survivor, who was never actually in the plane crash. And she has the same grouping of people here. It's same people.
Grouping.
There they are,
Wow.
taken the same day, just kind of in a different order. Okay? Then this photo was just discovered in season 3. Not only does Natalie have this photo in her garage, right, that Misty goes to take the stuff out of, but this is also in the display case that Callie sees at the high school, which has now been updated with adult Natalie, Juliette Lewis's photo, showing her as someone who has now passed away from this tragedy. And it's interesting because if you go to episode 10 of season 1, there are shots of all these people. We're going to get to one in a second. And there are 3 photos of the Martinez gentlemen. There's Coach Martinez, there is Javi Martinez, there's Travis Martinez. At that point in that episode, we only knew that Travis had died and that Coach Martinez had died. We didn't know in season 1 that Javi had died yet.
Right.
But there was his photo.
I
so I'm thinking that's them showing the people that have died from this plane. So at that point, that was already a clue that Javi was going to die. Now, of course, most of them are going to die, let's be honest. So here we go again. That's the same grouping of people must have been taken on the same day, whenever that was.
And are their numbers still corresponding to the way they were before, or do they switch?
Yes. The only person who seems to switch is this person over here, Proto Robin. So her jersey appears to me to say 3 or, 13, or maybe she's jersey number 3 because there is no jersey 3 or 4 in this grouping. That's kind of a little bit of a missing piece to this puzzle here. But her jersey does appear to say 3. But then in another shot we're going to see in a little bit, she's wearing jersey 12.
Oh,
so I'm a little confused. Now, this is the shot from the trophy case in episode 10 of season 1. These are the same people again. However, we have the person up there at the top who I'm calling Proto-Brit.
Proto-Brit.
Brit is from season 3. Now, I believe we're going to just say that Brit throughout season 1 was played by Princess Davis. Similar hair, similar complexion, kind of, if you will. We never really see what her jersey number is, so she could have been 3 or 4. Then we have all the regular people there. Again, these extra people. The number 15 is there. Number 17 is in the lower corner over there. We have our Proto Crystal, our Proto Robin, the same actresses that are appearing in those other photos. There's Jen there, Proto Melissa. They're all there. Now, there's Proto Crystal again. She appears in this one-off shot that is in Allie's display of the old photos at the high school reunion. She also appears, the same actress, appears in the opening credits. Every time she's there next to, I think she might be next to Lottie again. And she's still there today. I wonder if the actress, is a little pissed off about that.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, at least she's getting some exposure.
Exactly. So these are some other shots there. You see that's number 15 again there in the background with the short hair next to Thaisa. Now, let's go into the actual first episode, right? Now, all throughout season 1, there are only 2 Extrajackets that are actually credited in IMDb, and they are Maya Lowe, who is number 16, Jen, and also Princess Davis. And they are, on IMDb, they are designated as Yellowjackets number 1 and Yellowjackets number 2. So Jen's name is never actually officially announced in season 1. But it is confusing because Maya Lowe and Princess Davis are not Yellowjackets number 1 and 2 on the jersey, right? They're not at all. So it kind of makes it
doesn't correspond to the numbers on the jersey.
So tell me about the soccer team. How many players are on a soccer team? What are the positions on the field? How does this work?
Well, what I do know, I don't know a lot about soccer, but what I do know is that it's 10 outfield and 1 goalie on each team. So you're only going to ever have 22 on the field at once. That was with 2 teams.
Right.
So one team should be theoretically 11. And then maybe you have a couple of subs, right? You would imagine maybe you have like 2 or 3 depending on. So yeah, that's how that works.
This is important because when we're talking about who is actually on the plane, why do they need more than, say, 15 players when they're going to nationals, right? How many people can really get injured? Who knows? But we're going to talk about it because as the first season progresses, there are a lot of Extrajackets out there. But who is there in the first episode? So in the very first episode, we have the following people. Now, not everybody actually appears on screen, but they can be assumed that they're there. If we have someone like Jen, who is in all 3 seasons, we can assume that she is there, even though she does not appear in the episode, right?
Correct. Yes, I guess we can do that.
Okay, so we start off with our Flight 2525 manifest with who I'm going to say are the main characters of season 1. That is Misty, Thaisa, Lottie, Van, Shauna, Natalie, and Jackie, and there are their jersey numbers.
Right, and that's 6 members already.
That's 7.
Oh, 7, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I can't count.
Right.
7 already. I mean, that's a big portion of the team.
Sure. Then we have the addition of these characters. We have Mari. We have Akila. They are besties, right? We have Laura Lee, who makes quite an impression in season 1. And then, of course, we have Coach Ben.
Right. Well, he doesn't count because he's the coach.
Well, right, but I'm just saying in reference to who's on the plane, he's on the plane.
Okay.
As are the Martinez gentlemen. We have Travis, and Javi, who are there really because Coach Martinez is having marital problems. So he's brought them with them.
Yep.
Now, lucky Travis and Javi, huh? That his parents are having marital problems.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Now, we also have the following Extrajackets. These all make an appearance actually on the plane or somewhere in this episode.
Okay.
We have Proto Robin right there, who appears in the rally scene. See at the bottom there? And again, like I say, I believe she is wearing a jersey that says number 12. Now, the girl that's next to her in that shot, she's actually wearing Jen's jersey number 16. But we never see that person again. So I'm assuming that is the stand-in, if you will, for Jen at that point. Then we do see number 15 with the short hair. She is on the plane. We do see number 17 right there with the braids. She is on the plane, and she is speaking to Proto Brit on the plane. We also see in one shot, Proto Crystal is there on the plane. She's kind of sitting backwards, and I'll show you her in a second. We also have Proto Melissa. She is also on the plane in the back corner. And then, I don't really know about this, but they say in the funeral that Rachel, I can't remember her name, maybe Rachel Goldstein, was the one player they mentioned dies on the plane.
Is she the one that you see that had the...
She's impaled by some steel beam.
Right.
Right. So she is there maybe on screen because there is that person that kind of flails at the end and we don't really see who that is. That could be Rachel. Now, in addition to these people, we also, of course, have not seen on camera. We have the pilot named Fred, the pilot named Robert, and the flight attendant actually does appear on screen. That is Janet. The pilots actually do appear in the next episode very briefly. Then we have, again, the Jen who I referenced, who we can assume is there because she's there for the rest of the seasons. And then we have who I'm calling Melissa number 2.
Okay.
Now, Melissa number 2 appears in episode 2 as the plane is crashing, but she does not appear to be the same person that is the Proto Melissa because they're wearing different outfits. And why would you change your outfit in a 6-hour flight from a striped t-shirt to a flannel long sleeve shirt with a
Unless
white
maybe
t-shirt
she
underneath?
spilled coffee on her top.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
That would happen.
The fact of the matter is, though, that both Melissa number 2 and Proto Melissa appear together in episode number 3. Oh. So they are two different people. They're two different people.
Two different people.
All right. What happens? Oh my gosh. There is a plane crash. So suddenly everything's in chaos. Okay.
It sure looks like chaos.
Going into episode 2, there is pilot Robert and pilot Fred. And then there is Rachel being impaled after the crash. Sad. Okay, now we're going into the aftermath of the crash. This is interesting because we have now another person, because we have Crystal number 2. I'm calling her Crystal number 2 because she, again, has similar appearances to Crystal. Okay, now she's wearing a Yellowjackets, what do you call those?
The
varsity jacket?
Yeah, like a varsity.
She will appear in this episode and the next episode, and then she is never seen again, which is why she is just getting the name of Crystal 2.
Crystal 2.
Okay. And over here we have other people. We have Proto Brit there in the background, Proto Melissa over there huddled. They're all kind of shrouded. You can't really see what's going on. A lot of chaos in these scenes. Then we have, again, Melissa number 2 wearing the plaid shirt from the plane. There she is on the left-hand side of that shot. Akilah, Travis, Van. Jen is wearing this green dress. Back is turned to us here, but she is now played by Maya Lowe from this episode on until season 3, and she wears that dress later on in the series as well. And this is Jen number 2 there in the middle, Melissa number 2 in the middle, and then we have Proto Melissa over there with the striped shirt on the left.
Oh, I see. So
you see?
Yeah, I see.
Okay. Thaisa, Akilah, Natalie, another crash scene here. We have number 17 with the braids and Akilah. Then we have Melissa 2 in the plaid. Proto Robin, I'm guessing, I don't really know who that is in the middle there. You can't really tell. There's Proto Brit in the background. That is Princess Davis. You will see her quite a bit in other episodes. This is a nice little great shot there. Of course, we have Melissa number 2 in the plaid shirt there in the back. Okay, moving on to this shot. Another great one. Proto Brit. She is wearing the yellow top there. You have Crystal number 2 over there. Again, in that Letterman jacket. That's what it's called. And then we have, again, similar scene here. Crystal 2 in the background. There's Proto-Robin in the background there with the shirt there sitting down. And we have Melissa number 2 in the back with the plaid. So all these people are out here. This is a shot from later in the episode. We're around a campfire.
Proto-Brit.
There is Proto-Brit there. Jen makes an appearance there as well. And then around this campfire, oh, baby, look at this. Off screen, Coach Ben, Javi, and Travis. But in the background, you can see, I don't know if you can see that, Doug, there are 4 people there. And if you look really closely, it is our Proto Crystal, our Proto Melissa, our Proto Robin, and number 15. And then Proto Brit is sitting down around the campfire. So in episode 2, we have what are now going to be, this is a reorganization here, of our core 7. Now, who are our core 7? The core 7 are the people that we know have survived up until the beginning of season 1. We know that they're going to be in every episode because they're all survived into adulthood. This is Misty, Shauna, Thaisa, Lottie, Natalie, Van, and Travis.
The Magnificent Seven.
The Magnificent Seven, okay? Forgot to mention one of my favorite lines from the pilot is when Javi is coming up on the plane and he wants to sit next to his brother, Travis, and Travis says, "Oh no, butt munch. Oh no, butt munch, you're not sitting here." Which that was meant to be a derogatory term, but I don't know. In some circumstances, I think butt munch can be, a compliment or
it's
something.
It's a term of endearment.
Yeah.
Butt munch. Cute little
All right.
butt munch.
So we have the core 7, and then we have the usual suspects. I'm calling them usual suspects, not just because it's a movie reference from the mid-90s, right? But these are the people that we see all the time, but their fate is uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have Coach Ben, Jackie, Mari, Akila, and Laura Lee. Then we have the Javi factor. Why is Javi in a separate situation, Doug?
Well, because he's not a team player.
Well, because he disappears for a while.
Yeah, it's true.
We don't know if he's gone or not. So for now, he's there. That's the Javi factor. Now we have our Extrajackets. We all just saw them in those shots. We went through all of them. There they all are. And then we have the section we're calling We Hardly Knew Ya. This is only for this episode. These are the people that died in this plane crash. Coach Martinez, he was up in the tree. He fell. Rachel, she was impaled by that piece of metal. The pilots are dead. The crew member, Janet, is dead. So at this point, after having, I should have said this in the last episode, there were 26 people on the plane. 26!
It's plausible then, again, when we go back to the team. So 11 team members, Coach, the father, Javi, Travis.
Misty's not technically a team member. She's the
so again, that could
equipment person.
Yeah. So I mean, you
Yes.
would maybe have 5 extra.
I guess there's a lot. So they're in the next episode, we're going to have even more. Okay. So at this point, we have, I can't count right now on the screen, but basically 22 survivors, I believe, at this point. When we move into the next episode, this is where things get really, really crazy, because not only do we have this wonderful shot of the majority of people out here, but we have this big sequence where they go to the lake and there's so many people. Suddenly there's more Yellowjackets than there ever has been. And we're going to get to it. So in this great shot, we can see all of our people here. We got the core 7. We got the usual suspects, except for the Coach Ben, who is resting his leg. Remember, they're having the funeral for the 5 people who have died, and also Coach Ben's missing leg.
Right.
You can read the names on there right now of who these people are. But as we move through the episode, you get some more close-up shots. Here's where we are introduced to yet another person. This is a person with reddish hair and a big, thick braid. Okay. Never seen her before, and we will never see her again after this episode.
All right.
Okay.
Well.
But there we've got our Proto Robin over there on the left. We got our Proto Crystal. And then here we have number 15, very easily displayed. And as we move forward, they are deciding whether or not to go to the lake. And you will see some of our other Extrajackets in the midst. We have Proto Brit right there. We have Jen right there. So this is important to note because in my way of organizing this, if you appear in the same episode, in the same scene, then you are another person. Right? You can't say that, you're standing in for a background actor who wasn't there that day. Like, no, you're in the same scene. You are another person. Again, some more proof here of the Proto Brit being there. In this shot, you have number 15 sitting there in the corner, raising her hand. She wants to go to the lake. They all go to the lake. Proto Brit sitting there next to Jen. And as we go to the lake, this is where it gets crazy. This is really the best shot where you can see that there's 23 people in this particular photo as they're walking, and you can't really see them all. I'm sorry for the screenshot. It's literally taken from a photograph on the TV, but as they're in movement, you can see there are 23 people, but there's actually 24 because there's one other person whose body is not here who we are going to see. So as we continue forward, they are carrying Coach Ben down to the lake. We have Proto Melissa on one side, and we have Crystal number 2 on the other side of the gurney. Proto Robin's in the back, and I believe Travis and Misty are in the front carrying him on that end. As they go through, you can see some lineups. It's very hard to see. It goes really, really quick, but all these people are here. They carry through the forest, and you see them all in all these different shots. There's quite a few I have here, so I'm just going to go quickly, but you can see that's a nice little shot there of those two that are, look, there's Melissa number 2. Look at Melissa number 2.
Yeah, okay.
To me, Melissa number 2 looks more like the actual Melissa we see in season 2 and season 3.
Yeah, it does look like
for sure.
Her,
it really looks like her a lot. The reason why I called her Melissa number 2 is because she appeared after Proto Melissa, and she looks different from the one that's in the team photos, in my opinion. Carrying through. Here they all are. And there's Proto Brit and Jen and so on and so forth. These nice shots here were always really good. There's Proto Crystal in the corner. There she is going up the mountain. And as they get closer and closer to the lake, we finally have this great shot, which again has Proto Melissa on one side and then another person. This is someone with brown hair. I thought maybe it was the same person with the reddish hair, with the braid. But when I look at the next sequences in the lake, there are clearly 2 people again. They can't both be the same person if they're both in the same shot. So that is another person with the brown hair. They all start to get into their undergarments, but it gets very confusing because their hair is wet and all this stuff. Like in this one here, I think that I said that was the
that could be the reddish hair.
But actually, that's actually Shauna. I found out later. So the shots that I'm really referring to are coming up as we get further along into this sequence, because here you have the girl with the reddish hair braid over there in the water, and then you have the person with the brown hair on top of Van. It's 2 different people, because when the person with brown hair falls off, you see her, and you see her again in shots with the girl with the reddish hair. So it's all kind of very confusing. That's the better shot there. But this shot here where Lottie finally sees that there's a cabin out there, you can see that there are 2 people there as they all walk out. So again, here we go in the dollhouse. This is our largest extra jacket count. We have the core 7. We have the usual suspects. We have the hobby factor. We have all these extra jackets, which brings the total count to 24 people still surviving as of episode 3. Insane.
Dang. Well,
okay, now as we continue forward, we're going into episode 4. There's not going to be as many slides because we don't have as many group opportunities to see these Yellowjackets, to see these extra jackets, I should say. So we're just going to kind of quickly go through each episode. In episode 4, we have the core 7. We have the usual suspects. We have the hobby factor. We have only these 2 extra jackets appear in this episode. That is Jen and Brit, and they are in the sequence where they are shooting the rifles in the background. And then we can assume that these people are still out there, right? We can assume that Proto Melissa or Melissa and Robin and Crystal are there because they are there in the later seasons. And number 15, we see a lot of her coming in the next few episodes. So she must still be out there, right? Then moving into episode 5, we have the seance. This is the Blood Hive seance. And in the attic up there, we can see Proto Brit there sitting on the floor. And if you carry around the circle there, you also see Jen. And in other shots, we can see that Proto Melissa is in the back, and the Yellowjacket with number 15 jersey is also in the back. So for the Blood Hive, we have the core 7, we have the usual suspects, the hobby factor. I swear this is starting to feel like the 12 Days of Christmas. And we have the extra jackets that are on screen. And then we have the extra jackets that are not on screen. Okay. Moving into episode 6. This is Saints. This is a shot towards the end when Natalie brings back the deer. And again, we have Jen and Proto Brit are clearly seen there just for a hot minute there. So again, when you look at this, same thing as the last episode. Same setup of the people that are there and the people that are not on screen, but we can assume that they're there. Same count as episode 4. All right, moving into episode 7, there's this great moment between Jackie and Shauna when they're in the cabin and they're talking about Shauna being pregnant and who's the baby's father and all that kind of stuff. And then you don't see who walks in, but they're interrupted. And Jackie or Shauna says, "Oh, sorry," or something like that, or "Hi," So they're clearly addressing an extra jacket in that moment, right? Like one of these people that they don't really talk to. And I just think it's really weird because, it's such a small amount of people, even at 22 or 24 or whatever, that don't you think there would be more interaction between these people?
Oh, there would totally be interaction.
Even just like naming the names. Like, I know that high school can be cliquey and all that stuff, but in this situation, you would be like talking to everybody all the time.
You would be tight with everybody.
So I think that is a little bit of a fail in this show. Obviously, they're doing this because to have 22 people as all main cast members in one season would be way too much.
Yeah, be too confusing.
And they're also trying to set you up for, again, these people to be eaten later. And so you want to care about some of them. You don't want to care about all of them because then you'll be upset that they're dead. So it makes sense that they're slowly doing this. But it's moments like this where I wish they would just have said something like, "Oh, hey, Britt.
Hey, Britt, how you
You
doing?
know what I mean?
How you doing today? Oh, you're making the soup today? Geez. Are you collecting the mushrooms?"
Right, exactly. All right, episode 7, there's not really any extra jackets that are on camera. So again, we just see the core 7, the usual suspects, and the Javi factor. And then we have the extra jackets who you can presume are still there. Moving on to episode 8, this is Flight of the Bumblebee. Again, it's the same thing. It's just the core 7, the usual suspects, and Javi. And it's weird because this is the episode where Laura Lee goes off in the plane, and you'd think that some of the extra jackets would come out to see that crazy experience or help to clear away the trees to make way for the plane. But they don't. So anyway, all right, moving into episode 9. This is a really great episode to see some extra jackets, right? We have the Doom coming, right? Where pretty much everybody would be invited to the Doom coming, right?
One would think.
As they're coming in, you see Proto Robin, Proto Brit, and Jen. And this is, everybody's in their finery here, which is great. There's a lot of really great moments. Here is number 15. And Proto Melissa are there as well. This is a great shot, again, showing Jen and Proto Brit and Proto Robin. And then we have, again, them in the background over there. And they're congratulating Thaisa and Van on kind of coming out for their relationship. And there they are. They're all looking fantastic. Now, it is weird that the other people that are considered to be out there are not present in this moment, like the Proto Crystal, perhaps. You would think she would be there for this, but she is not there. Now, it is interesting also that they have these mushrooms and they have the big trip and all this stuff, but then the extra jackets are somehow not part of what happens to Travis and all that craziness at the end. And I thought that was really weird because, like, why would suddenly they not have anything to do with that? Them running through the woods and howling. And my only thing I could think of is maybe they didn't want to risk spoilers. Don't have the background actors there.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
For that scene. I don't know. All right, so in Doom Coming, we have the core 7. We have the usual suspects. But now we are missing Laura Lee. She is our first kind of in-story really casualty. Yeah. And Javi is still there. Okay. And then we have our extra jackets that are on screen at the Doom Coming. And then we have one who is not. So our numbers have dropped just by 1 at this point with the passing of Laura Lee. Moving on to episode 10. Oop, look, there's number 15 in the background. And I think maybe Proto Robin there. I can't really tell. It was a very dark moment of the image. I had to really lighten that up. But this is when Lottie is going to kill the bear. Later on, we have them eating the bear at the dinner, and Jen is clearly visible. And so is this person here, who I'm going to say is Proto Brit, but to be honest, doesn't really look like Proto Brit, the actress, nor does it look like the actress who's portraying jersey number 17 either. And I'll show you what I mean when I get to another shot. I did look to see that on the IMDb, Princess Davis is listed as being in, I believe, 7 or 9 episodes of season 1, and she's not listed as being in episode 3, even though she is. And so she is listed as being in episode 10, even though I don't think she is. So it's kind of confusing, but whatever. Later on in the dream sequence, we have, again, this person who does not look like, again, Princess Davis, but she is wearing the outfit that she would wear. It's very interesting. And then we have Proto Robin and some of our other usual suspects and our core 7. So that is in episode 10, core 7, usual suspects, and the extra jackets that are on screen and the ones who do not appear on screen, right? Okay. Oh, this actually also is showing that there are some people that appear in the trophy case in this episode. So that's why I added 17 back in, because she appears in the photo in the trophy case as someone who's on this plane, who is in this journey. So I just kind of threw her back in there. Okay. Sadly, at the end of that episode, we lose Jackie. So she is one of our usual suspects who is no longer usual. However, she does appear in the first 2 episodes of season 2, but I am now counting people who have died. Once they've died, they're dead. They're off my schematic. So even they're no longer survivors.
Right. So if they came back as a cameo and they're dead, well, they're not included. Yeah, okay. I get that makes sense.
So here we are in episode 1 of season 2. We have a couple of cast changes because Nia Sondaya takes over for Kia King in the role of Aquila, right? We also have the introduction of 3 new usual suspects, although they were Extrajackets before. They've been promoted, in essence, right?
Promoted jackets.
So aside from the core 7 of Shauna, Misty, Thaisa, Natalie, Van, Travis, and Lottie, we have the usual suspects now of Mari, we have Coach Ben, we have Aquila, now portrayed by Nia Sondaya, and we finally have officially Crystal, Melissa, and Jen. Jen is still portrayed by Maya Lowe in this season, and she and Melissa and Crystal will all have lines. In fact, I love it. In the very first episode of season 2, I don't remember exactly who says this, but they're looking across the cabin and they see, the core 7 or whatever, the normal people we normally see all the time. And one of them asks, I wonder what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah. I
remember that?
I remember that.
So that was kind of like their way of introducing these.
That was clever. It's like, I like when they do those things, just like when we had the thing where Thaisa is like, wow, what,
Yes. That song's going to be stuck in my head.
That's going to be stuck in my head forever. It's the same
It's a little meta moment. It's like them taking a little wink, saying that, yes, we know these people have never said a word before, but... Again, there's probably cliques here, right? The core 7 people, they're definitely the cool ones, right?
Well, they are the ones that probably, like, when they're on set, they get the Ugg boots and they get the chairs and all that kind of stuff. Who do you think
gets the Ugg boots? Who do you think is the most Ugg boot worthy? I'm going to say it's Courtney Eaton. Plays young Lottie. Don't you think?
Oh, she's wearing Uggs.
She is wearing Uggs. No. I'm just saying, character-wise.
I don't know though.
The adult Lottie too, maybe.
And I don't know. Maybe the adult
Tony Cypress.
She
might be wearing some Ugg boots. Sure.
I could see, but I know she lives in like Colorado.
Yeah.
So she probably has a better tolerance for cold than most of these other people.
Yeah. Then after the usual suspects, of course, normally we would have Javi, but Javi is still missing after the doom coming, right? So I have to add him in here, but technically he's not on screen, just like the rest of these other presumed surviving Extrajackets that we do not see. We imagine there is there as well. Proto, Brit, also number 15, and Proto Robin must be there somewhere. For sure, Brit and Robin, because they appear in season 3, right? Javi will come back. So for the next few episodes, we have the same lineup. There's really no change into episode 2. It's the same people appearing on screen. Javi's still missing. The other Extrajackets do not appear. This is the same in episode 3. Same thing. Javi's still not rediscovered, and those Extrajackets do not appear. Then going into episode 4, finally, we do have the rediscovery of Javi, so he officially joins in there again. And again, we have the Extrajackets who do not appear, but are presumed to be there somewhere, enjoying all this beautiful winter weather. Going into episode 5 of season 2, again, the same lineup, Javi, usual suspects, core 7, and the missing Extrajackets. But of course, this is the episode where we lose Crystal when she falls off the gorge. So she will not be here in the next episode, which is key. Now, in this episode, we do see some Extrajackets that appear out of nowhere. This is when Shauna is giving birth and she has the baby in her arms. So this is kind of a dream sequence. So this isn't really reliable anyway, but I'm assuming that's sort of like a proto Robin there in the background over Travis's shoulder. And then we also have in this shot, perhaps a proto Brit in the background there. Okay.
And maybe a Melissa.
Melissa's there. She's in the
she
cast,
is there.
Remember?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's episode 6. Core 7, usual suspects, the Javi factor, he's back in there. And then we do have these people on screen, possibly Brit and Robin. And then we have our number 15 who's still missing. In episode 7, we're back to what we had before, where we have everybody there except for these 3 that are missing. Moving into episode 8, this is where things definitely get interesting. Here we have Mari at the beginning of the episode, and she not only does she hear the blood, but she sees the blood. So she gets up, and there's some people in the background. They're in the background, way in the corner there. There's somebody slumped over, completely covered in winter clothing, and also somebody else over here you can't see at all, but there's some shoes. So I'm going to guess that is probably the Robin and the Brit, or maybe that's number 15 over there, we'll say. There's another shot here where they come a little bit closer, so you can see them there. And then later on, for the card draw, which you would imagine is a mandatory event for everybody who is in this cabin. All the survivors got to be there for this, because this is so huge. This is determining who's going to be killed and eaten. So if somebody would say, like, oh, I'm not going to do it.
I'm not doing it.
So what's interesting here is that Coach Ben is in the cave at this point, right? He went in there, I think, in this episode. We have Lottie, who in the last episode was beaten to a pulp by Shauna. So she's up upstairs in the attic. And this is who we have left here for the card draw. Everybody is here. And then there are 3 additional people that are well hidden. One of them probably Brit. One of them probably Robin. And then the extra one there, probably number 15. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be number 15.
I'm really intrigued by number 15.
Where's number 15?
Well, I kind of feel like she's in so many of the shots. We should find out who she is.
I know, guys. What's going on with these?
Maybe you could find out from some of the cast members, because they seem to be in scenes with them too.
I know. I kind of want to take that extra deep dive and ask, but how reliable is it? You know what I mean? Anyway, here's another shot. I think same thing. This is after the card draw. Natalie's been chosen, but they're still there, obviously. Now, when they go run out on the ice, I didn't take a look at that scene to see if there was anybody there, but I don't think so. I don't think any of the Extrajackets go chasing after Javi. So once again, we have the core 7 here. We have the usual suspects minus Crystal. And then we have the Javi factor. This is his last episode, by the way. And then we have these Extrajackets, potentially number 15 there, all bundled up. Now we have the final episode of season 2. This is when the cabin burns down. Again, this would be another scene where you'd think you'd see everybody, because this is...
You would have to, because there's nowhere to hide.
Right, exactly. Now, unfortunately, we don't see everybody, right? So this is kind of, as everybody's leaving, we get a shot here of kind of, again, our core 7 and our usual suspects. They all kind of huddle together outside of the cabin as they're watching it burn down. I think Van is kind of like the last one to come into the fray, but I don't really know. It's so hard to see. Everything's shot so quickly. It's so dark. It's like you can't really tell what's going on. This is probably the best shot here, right? Achilles is in the back if you were to see this moving. So who's missing here? Well, our Extrajackets are missing in this shot completely. Now, what you do see, though, in a longer shot, I don't know if this is the one. This is the one. Do you think there, Doug, over in the far right-hand corner, that those are like bodies there?
Yeah, I mean,
it looks like it to me, because that's everybody there that's accounted for in this shot, right? Everybody over here. So obviously Britt and Robin have to survive this fire. So maybe
it looks like it.
Yeah,
it looks like the rest of it.
So that's that. So that's episode 9 of season 2. Again, we have the usual suspects, the core 7, and question marks on all the Extrajackets. We don't really know where they are. They don't really appear. But you can imagine that at the end of season 2, we would have this group of 7 plus 5 is 12 plus 3 is 15 people surviving at the end of season 2, according to what they're showing us. Now, what's weird is moving into season 3, we're completely missing that other person, right? And we have the introduction now officially of Britt and Robin. Okay. They are portrayed by Silvana Estefanos, that's Britt, and Robin is Anissa Harris. Okay. And they appear throughout the first 3 episodes. Again, we have the same lineup for all 3 episodes. We've not lost anybody yet. Now, I will say that Jen has been, the actress has changed. The actress is now Vanessa Prasad. There she is there. She looks very similar, I would say, to Milo. Very much.
This is Jen?
That's
okay,
Jen.
That's
yeah.
Jen. Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, Melissa now has a more pivotal role, as we are slowly seeing.
Yes.
So there they are, and they do appear in the ending sequence as well, which is the pagan ritual. We have them all cloaked in these robes, and then there is the moment where they hear the screaming trees, and they all freak out, right? And so they do close-ups. I didn't take screenshots of them, but there are close-ups, and you do see all of them are there. So there's nobody else in addition to these people, right? Because Shauna left early, Mari's out there in the woods, and Coach Ben is in the cave. So this is really showing that there's like nobody else at this point. So it's almost like they've kind of changed their count, you know? Production has said there's only 14. Because the next episode, episode 4, which we have not gotten to yet, is called 12 Angry Girls and One Drunk Travis. So that's pretty much it. 12. There's 12 teenage girls, one drunk Travis, and Coach Ben.
Well, presumably one Coach Ben. We don't know yet.
So again, just to show that it's the same here. We've got the core 7. We have the usual suspects now, which include Britt and Robin and Jen, the new actress. Everybody else is the same. And then we can assume, though, still that she's there, but she's not there, but she should be there.
Do we want to even talk about the fact that some people have been saying that at the premiere of season 3, that the actress that played Crystal was there?
Yeah.
So I guess we still, though, don't know whether she's real or
there was a moment I thought
imagination, but apparently she's going to be.
Do you think maybe Coach Ben was talking to Crystal in the cave?
I don't know. I mean, she did have blood coming out of her mouth.
Yeah, she looked really dead.
But maybe she's just a spirit.
Obviously, Misty told Crystal the big secret, right? So wouldn't that be interesting if she survived somehow and she has that secret? Oh!
But maybe she'll be like so injured she won't be able to speak.
Oh my gosh.
How's that? How do you like that?
Yeah,
one?
I like that. This is a screenshot from episode 2, and this shows everybody here. The only person you can't see is Akila, but she is sitting next to Misty in another shot of this particular scene. But that is everybody there except for Coach Ben and Mari, who were in the cave. That is episode 2, Dislocation, the same lineup that you have here. And then the episode that we just watched, them's the breaks. I actually didn't really update these slides, but they still hold true. We have the core 7. We have the usual suspects. They all appear. The new ones appear very briefly, and they still haven't said a word yet. And then we have now what I'm going to say is all these people still really unaccounted for. Officially, they were there at some point. We have number 17, the girl with the reddish brown hair. We have number 15. We have Melissa 2. We have Crystal 2. And we have the other person with just brown hair. They all kind of petered out, those extra ones, in episode 3 of the first season. So that would actually bring our total to, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That would still be 20 people out there. But they make it appear as though there's only 14.
And it's a TV show,
and
so, they can do what they want.
But that's why, in a way, the pit girl thing is so important, because if you have a plane crash and you have these bodies and you're showing them on screen and you're eating the bodies, it becomes very important. Otherwise, you could just say, it doesn't really matter.
Right, it's food source.
It does matter when it's food source and they're surviving a plane crash.
It's a difference between, chicken pot pie and a Twix.
Exactly. So we will see what happens throughout the rest of the season. I know we're going to lose some of these usual suspects. And there's also a possibility, if Melissa really is Hilary Swank, we will then move Melissa from the usual suspects to now what is the core 8. So what do you think, everybody? I mean, I tried as best as I can. I can't verify some fuzzy image of a background actor way in the back in the forest all the time, but I tried my best to look at what people are wearing, look at who's in the scene at the same time, and show you who I believe is actually out there. I believe there should be more people out there, but it looks like they've scaled it back to just this number of people. What do you think?
I think you've done a very good job, because me personally, I still find it hard to keep straight some of these extras. I don't know who they are. So the fact that you did this, I don't know. Has anybody else done this? I
think they've taken a look at some of those bigger cast shots, but I think you have to take it in context of the other scenes that are going on, especially in the episode The Dollhouse, which starts with the funeral, and you have that great shot with a lot of people. You have to realize that it's the same day when they go to the lake. They're all wearing the same clothes. So all those other people that are going to the lake have to also be there in addition to the people that are at the funeral. Right?
Well, I mean, the only other thing I was going to say is just on the level of them shooting this show, too. Obviously, the lake shot looks like a real location.
Yeah.
And many of these, the real locations, they probably had the people, so they had to use them. Whereas if they're back at the studio, you're not necessarily going to need all the extras.
Sure, you can't fit them all in the cabin.
Yeah.
But in these wider shots, you can.
You might need to fill it up.
But again, that still kind of like begs the question, well, where did all those bodies go? Especially that shot in the lake where they're all like running in the water.
Well, again, it's a TV show, so, we got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yep.
But it's still pretty interesting.
It is pretty interesting. Anyway, thank you for joining us for this special edition of the Untying the Knot for our podcast, Sea View Circle. We hope you join us for our next episode, which will be the recap of episode 4, which is called, once again, 12 Angry Girls and One Drunk Travis.
Ouch.
All right, so stay hungry, friends, and we will see you then back on the sack.